On behalf of the Canal View School family, I'd like to welcome you to our curriculum night. I hope that this night will end up being very informational and useful to you as our partners in your child's education. So with that, we're going to get started, and I'm going to hope that works. And it does. Okay, so if you can't hear me, that's better? Yeah. Okay. I will try to use my outside voice. Parents of students who are in kindergarten through grade 2 should have already met in your child's classroom and heard a great deal of information from his or her classroom teacher. If you have a child who is in grades 3 through 5, after I'm finished talking with you, you're going to go to your child's classroom and they will also have information to share with you. You should leave here tonight with a solid understanding of what your child's day should look like here at Canal View. You should have a pretty solid understanding of your classroom teacher's behavioral expectations. You should have a pretty good understanding of what we're going to be doing in ELA and literacy instruction, what we're going to be doing in math instruction, and any other content area information that your classroom teachers have chosen to share with you. Some of the information that I am going to share to you has to do with a federal program that all districts in New York State participate in, and it's called the Consolidated Grant Program. We at Spencerport participate in this program, and as such, we get funds through the part of the program known as Title I to support the remedial instruction of the students that we have here in our district. So, what is Title I? Title I is a program run through the federal government under the legislation for No Child Left Behind that provides all school districts within New York State funds to support students at risk of not meeting the state standards in reading, writing, math, and science. Math, science, and social studies. I told you what their Title I funds. And our district does receive those funds, and we here in Spencerport use those funds to support, not totally fund, but to support our response to intervention and or our academic intervention services program. And both of those programs, the RTI, Response to Intervention, and Academic Intervention Services programs, are the programs that are mandated by New York State to be put into place to support our students that are in danger of or have already failed to meet a grade level standard. How is the funding calculated? The New York State Department of Education distributes the funds that they get from the federal government throughout the state. They implement a complex funding formula that I wouldn't even want anybody to try to explain to me to determine our district's allocation. The purpose of that funding is to ensure that all students have a chance to receive a quality education. And students don't have to be low income to be able to participate in the programs that are supported by Title I, although the percentage of low-income families is a part of the funding calculations that is used by the state. So, what are the Title I programs that are offered here in Spencerport? We offer the Response to Intervention program at all of our 4 of our elementary schools. The RTI program provides supplemental instruction. That means it's an instruction in addition to what they are getting in the regular classroom setting in the areas of reading, writing, and math. If a child demonstrates a significant need within the area of science or social studies, we try to incorporate that content area material within the work that we will probably be doing with them in reading and writing. Because if I'm struggling in social studies and science, chances are I'm struggling in reading. So that's how we try to attack those two content areas. At our middle school, they are still operating under the New York State program known as Academic Intervention Services. And again, it's a supplemental instructional program within which the areas of reading, writing, math, science, and social studies are addressed. Although our high school is not a Title I program, a Title I building, they also offer academic intervention services to their students. And they also use the AIS program to support their students as they are trying to get ready to pass or retake a Regents exam that they have not been successful with. Another area that can be addressed through both RTI and AIS is the area of counseling. If it is determined that the student's counseling and or emotional needs outweigh all of the other needs, in other words, that's their biggest rock. If I can get them more emotionally stable through counseling, we believe that their academics will also improve. So counseling is available through both of these programs at all of our buildings. As with all money that we get from the federal and or the state government, there are requirements that have to be fulfilled. Our district is required to develop our own RTI and AIS programs that follow the state's regulations. How we actually pull it off day to day is our responsibility to develop. But trust me, there is a wide array of regulations that we need to follow. As part of those programs, we are required to monitor student progress as they participate in both of those programs. And we do that by administering ongoing assessments and study their work and we study their data. And based upon what they're showing us day to day and what our assessments are showing us, we make changes or modifications to their program. It's also their progress and their data that shows us when they no longer need this extra support. We are also required to provide you as parents with information about their RTI program and the progress that's being made. So if you are a new parent and your child is in 1st or 2nd grade, official RTI for kindergarten hasn't started yet because we're still getting to know them. If they're in a general ed classroom and they're participating in RTI for either reading or math, you should have received a letter from us that outlines this is the area that your child needs support in, and this is how we are supporting your child with how many minutes per day and how many days per week that support is happening. And it should have also given you the name of a teacher to contact other than their classroom teacher for information about their extra support. If you were new to the program before you got the letter, it's our policies. We are not 100% perfect, but my hope is that you got a phone call from somebody before you got the letter that said that your child was going to need help. And then as your child is continuing in the program, when you get their report card, you will also get an RTI progress report, which will be another comment from the teacher that is working with your child in that program that tells you what they've been working on, how your child has been doing in that program, what you might be able to do to help at home, and what we might be thinking of doing next. If we make any changes to your child's program, we are required to notify you in writing of that change, and then you would get another letter with another copy of their program attached to it. And the reason behind that is you are our partners in this process. And if you don't know what we are doing, you really can't be an active and involved partner. And we need to work together for the betterment of your child. So, what does this supplemental instruction look like? As I said earlier, this is instruction that is presented to all students in addition to what all students are receiving in their regular classroom setting from their classroom teacher. It may be another professional pushes into the classroom to give support, or we pull out in small groups for children to work with another professional in their area of need. And it can also be a combination of the two, based upon what that child's need and what we believe will best meet that need at that minute in time. All additional support is provided by a qualified teacher and or a certified teaching assistant based upon the level of the student needs. Students that have the greatest needs are often seen by either our reading specialists for the area of ELA or our math instructional specialist in the area of math. If the needs are less critical, the child will be meeting with a teaching assistant who will be working under the supervision of either a reading specialist or a math specialist. It is generally small group instruction. We try very hard not to have groups larger than 5 students in this supplemental instruction program. And the instruction that your child receives is going to focus on the specific students that are sitting in that group in that moment in time. So when we are forming groups, for example, for a 2nd grade group of students who need support in the area of English language arts, we look to see, okay, what level are they reading at? Are their needs sight words? Is their biggest need comprehension skills? Is their biggest need being able to summarize the story and get their ideas down on paper? And we try to group kids with like needs together so that the teacher working with that child in these small groups can do the best work possible to help to improve their instruction. And it includes ongoing progress monitoring to determine student growth. And that happens every other week. There is a short snippet that is given to the child in the area of need to determine if what we are doing is working. Because if it's not working, then we as the adults, the educators, need to sit down at the table again and talk about what do we do next. We try not to make big switches until we've tried the intervention or the additional instruction for a period of about 4 to 6 weeks. But if we're not seeing positive growth in that time, the child's work is telling us what you're doing isn't working. We need to talk about it again and we need to make changes. How do we determine what students need this extra layer of support? The teaching staff here at Canal View and at all the other buildings within our district look at various types of student data, including classroom work and classroom data. All of the students in our elementary programs here in Spencerport are participating in the iReady program, which is our benchmark universal screening tool. Everybody takes a test in ELA, everybody takes a test in math, and then we have that data and that information, and it's one piece that helps us to determine who the kids are that need this extra help. We also look at student work, what the child is producing day in and day out in their classroom in terms of literacy and math. We also look at the child's report card. How does the teacher assess or evaluate how they're doing on a broader scale across all of the curriculum? We do look at state assessment data for students who are leaving grades 3, 4, and 5. And we also listen to the recommendations of our classroom teachers. And I will say, although it's not on the slide, we do sometimes have parents call that say, I really think my child needs this extra help. And then we sit down with the classroom teacher, we talk about their concerns, and 9 times out of 10, we either place the child in program, or we say, let's watch very carefully and take very careful documentation, then we'll meet again and we will make a final decision. But parents have the right to say, I think my child needs this additional support. That being said, I want to take a slight little bird walk and talk to you about assessment. Assessment does not only mean a big test. There is a wide range of assessments that are done on a daily basis with the students that sit in front of us every single day. We do assessments for learning. For example, we are starting a brand new math unit. The teacher may give the students a pretest to determine what they know already about fractions and what we don't know, and then the teacher can fine-tune his or her instruction to better meet the needs of the kids. That's what we would call a formative assessment. If we are doing a formative assessment, the results of that assessment help us as the educator to better form the program that your child is experiencing. We also use formative assessment to monitor what the kids are learning. And as I said, it's always used to inform our work with your child, and it's always student-centered. We also test students or assess students as they are learning. So as we talked before, for learning we talked about pre-assessments. Okay, I've done a number of classroom observations already, and in every classroom that I have been in, teachers are using a thing called an exit pass, which in language that we all experienced probably when we were in school, is a teeny tiny mini quiz to show me, the teacher, did I get my concept across? Did my students understand? Did they learn what I expected them to learn? And then, what do we do with that information? Well, if we have a competent, highly qualified teacher, that teacher looks at those exit passes and uses that information to form their lesson for the next day. It may mean I need to reteach something. It may tell me I have a group of 5 or 6 kids who just didn't get this. So when I do my small group instruction, I need to take those 5 or 6 kids and do a quick reteach and guide them through it one more time. It may also show me that I have 5 or 6 friends in the classroom that got it quickly and are ready to fly. So when I'm planning my lesson for the next day, I should be planning additional challenge for that small group of kids to see how far I can push them and still may have them be successful and feel comfortable. But push the envelope so they take the most amount of risk necessary to be successful in learning, because it's when we take risks and make mistakes in our learning is when we do our best learning as students, as children, as well as adults. And then when we finish teaching everything in a particular unit, we give what is called a summative assessment. And that's like an end of unit test. It's going to test all of the things that I taught as the teacher to see how the kids have done. Depending on the classroom teacher, they may go back and do reteaching as they continue on in the curriculum. That's what I would recommend to a teacher. Sometimes we have the time to do that, sometimes we don't. But that's the best practice possible. So there's all these different types of assessments that are happening. And these are happening every single day in every single classroom that your child is sitting in. That being said, let's go back and look at the types of things that we are looking at for your child and see what kinds of assessments we're using to place children in the Title I program. Okay, so we're looking at classroom data. We said we were looking at universal screening results. I would classify that as formative information. We're looking at ongoing literacy and literacy types assessments. That's formative assessment. We're looking at math assessments, and math can either be formative or summative. If it's a quick check on what I taught today, it's formative. If it's the end of the unit on fractions, and I'm giving you the end of the unit test, it's then formative, it's summative. Writing samples that are in process, that's formative. In other words, the child hasn't finished it yet. If it's a published piece and they've gone through the entire process, then we're looking at that piece of writing as a summative assessment. And daily math work, as we've already talked about, is considered to be formative. And end of unit assessments in any content area are considered to be summative assessments. What other types of programs does Spencerport offer for at-risk students? We have our special education program for our students. Within that program, we offer a wide variety of supports and services. We have consultant teacher support, we have self-contained special education classrooms, we have speech language support, we have OT/PT, occupational therapy, and physical therapy classes for our kids. If your child has some type of medical need that impacts their ability to learn, we have 504 plans that are developed that are specific to that child. And we have our English as a Second Language program to support our students who come to us from a wide variety of countries and cultures whose first language is other than the area, other than English. Because we are a Title I school, you as parents have specific rights. You have the right to request the professional qualifications of your child's teacher, and you do that in writing. And then once it's received, then you would get that information. We have to provide parents with state assessment scores for their children. You've got them. If you have a 4th or a 5th grader, you've got them in the mail. We need to inform you in writing about your programs, and we want you to be an active participant in your child's education. All of that being said, the district was required to write and submit to the state ed department a parent involvement, our parent participation policy. Everything that's in the policy that has been provided to the state are things that we are already doing, and in all honesty, we wouldn't be doing whether the state said we had to or not, because it's good practice in involving you in the process of your child's education. So, there are some district committees that have parent members sitting on them. Those are listed on the slide. Home and school should be in constant, open, honest communication. That's very important, because if we're not talking, we can't be good partners, and we need to be communicating regularly. We are also required to encourage you to participate. Well, by inviting you here tonight, we encouraged you to participate. You accepted the invitation, and you're here. So we've been successful tonight. We are required to share progress with you about your child through the use of report cards. We are required to hold annual parent-teacher conferences. Everybody has to have one, but many of our students have more than one. Sometimes it's at the request of the family, sometimes it's at the request of the school. We talked about written communication. We have to have nights like tonight, curriculum night, and later on in the year in February, we'll be having another night, open house. And again, that's another invitation to invite you to participate. And we also are asked to present information to the to the building level parent organization meetings. And ours is the Canal View Association. Sometimes I do academic presentations at those meetings. I've thrown a lot of information at you. If you have questions, I will be glad to answer them. Your teachers in grades 3, 4, and 5 are waiting to see you in your classroom. Thank you for coming and enjoy the rest of your evening.